Hey everyone, it's the Vigilant Christian Mario, and you're here for another edition of New World Order Exposed. In today's video, I wanted to report on the first case of the Ebola virus in the United States, as well as talk about the Illuminati's plan for depopulation and end-time Bible prophecy. So let's get into it. Now, if you haven't heard, there's been a confirmed case of Ebola in the United States.
Be real frank to the Dallas County residents. The fact that we have one confirmed case, there may be another case that is a close associate with this particular patient. So I want to be frank. This is real. There should be a concern, but it's contained to the Pacific family members.
All right, so there you have it. I'm not going to go too deeply into that. I'm sure you're hearing it all over the news. In Dallas, Texas, the first Ebola diagnosis to be confirmed in the United States of America. I just did a video, I believe it was last week, on Ebola and the Illuminati's plan for depopulation, a cleansing that needs to occur before the establishment of the Antichrist kingdom. I'll leave the link for that video in the description section. In the video, I talked about how the Illuminati have a plan for depopulation. It includes poisoning the air supply, the food, the water, and also unleashing biochemical weapons on their own people. So we need to be vigilant because these are things that will be manifesting, and we need not be surprised because Jesus himself told us when he gave us end-time Bible prophecy that these things were going to occur. In Matthew 24, Jesus very clearly said, when asked about the signs of his second coming, he said that there would be great pestilences in diverse places. Now, a pestilence is exactly what Ebola is. It's a fatal epidemic disease. So the Ebola virus, in fact, is nothing but biblical end-time prophecy. So for those of us who are grounded in the truth and the knowledge of God, we need to rejoice at the signs that we see. When we see things like pestilences and wars and rumors of wars, we need not fear. We can rejoice because we know that these things are supposed to occur before the Lord establishes his kingdom here on earth. So just for those of you who are not grounded in the truth, this is so why you need Jesus Christ in these times. You need to have the grounding of truth, otherwise you're in trouble. Now, what I want to talk about in today's video is specifically the Illuminati's plan to depopulate us as part of a Illuminati blood sacrifice to usher in the Antichrist's new kingdom. You will hear it oftentimes described by the Illuminist that there needs to be a great cleansing that needs to take place. There is also the Georgia Guidestones. For those of you who don't know, the Georgia Guidestones is a monument that was erected, and it's supposed to be to guide us into an age of reason, aka guide us into the Illuminati's New World Order. Now, it was erected by R.C. Christian, which is a pseudonym. The individual who erected this is not known, but interestingly enough, he used the pseudonym R.C. Christian, which gives, indication that it's Rosicrucian Christian, which is an Illuminati secret brotherhood. Now, on the Georgia Guidestones, the first commandment, because essentially it's a mockery of God's commandments. It's laid out like the tablets that God put his commandments on, but this is Satan's commandments for his kingdom. And the first one says to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Well, if we look at the world's current population, to get it down to 500 million, that is massive, massive, massive depopulation that needs to take place. That is why you're seeing all these FEMA camps that are coming up all over the place. And so many people think this to be a conspiracy theory, but that is because these individuals are completely brainwashed. They have been predictively programmed. So as you see here, this is the predictive programming of the Illuminati, preparing the minds of the people at a subconscious level for the coming Holocaust, the great depopulation that is going to occur. The Illuminati own MTV. MTV might as well be called Illuminati Television. And as you can see here, we're chilling in our house and the police, the martial law is in place, and the Holocaust happened to people like us. MTV wants you to think. They then show you another commercial. Now remember, you have the brainwashed masses who sit in their chairs like couch potatoes, just zoned in on MTV when MTV is programming them with this brainwash. The individual who is brainwashed is so lost, they're watching this and they have no idea that they are being prepared for the coming Holocaust. And they would think that a Holocaust is crazy, but MTV wants you to think that it happened to people like you. And ironically enough, they finish off with think. So for those of you who would continue in your delusional thinking that a Holocaust could not happen here in America, you need to wake up. MTV, Illuminati Television, is hiding it in plain sight. They have you so brainwashed, they're laughing in your face because you sit there, a complete brainwashed yuppie, watching this television that shows you the plans for the depopulation. They even tell you to think a Holocaust happened to people like us, think, and they're laughing at you. Well, these FEMA camps are being raised up for the brainwashed masses to be rushed into after they have been convinced that the government is in fact there for their security and protection. They will run into these camps and the depopulation, the Agenda 21, will commence. There is all sorts of plastic coffins that have appeared all over the place. There is coming a massive depopulation in the rise of the Antichrist kingdom. In the description section, I'm going to leave a documentary, Agenda 21, the depopulation agenda for a new world order. Satan is here to steal, kill, and destroy absolutely anything he can, and that includes us and a large portion of the population. And in fact, the Bible, like I said in the very beginning, prophesied that all this stuff was to occur and needed to occur before Jesus would establish his throne here on earth. Now, is for sure the Illuminati behind Ebola? I mean, realistically, only God knows that. But one thing that we do know for sure from a confession from an Illuminist, a high-level elitist who is bringing about this system, he says, you never let a serious crisis go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things you think you could not do before. So no matter what, order out of chaos, which is the fundamental method of this Illuminati cult, makes it so that whether or not they even created the chaos, they are going to make sure they're capitalizing off it. So either they're behind it or not, it doesn't matter. They're going to make sure that they capitalize on it to instill fear in the public, to take away more rights and liberties and freedoms, to bring in their totalitarian antichrist system. Now, what I'd like to talk about is how the Illuminati has been predictively programming the masses through Hollywood, which is owned and operated by the CIA, the Illuminati, to create pieces of propaganda to brainwash the masses. They've been preparing the masses for this in movies like Contagion. If you notice a pattern here, you're going to see this all the time. The crazies, fear thy neighbor instead of love thy neighbor. This is absolutely satanic. Help us. There's a biochemical disease that's unleashed in all of these movies, and everyone's getting infected. This one, the infectees run around killing people. Here's the Illuminati eye symbolism for one of the covers for the crazies. Infection is another one. So we're constantly being shown images in front of us, just like we just seen with MTV showing us images of a coming Holocaust. That is because a coming Holocaust is going to occur. The Illuminati are behind it. They want you to think, because the Holocaust happened to people like us who were brainwashed by a totalitarian government like Hitler. And look, the people, they loved Hitler. Look at the American people. They love their leaders. They're brainwashed in the very same fashion. This is the same thing. Project Paperclip was a U.S. unclassified project to bring over the Nazi scientists over here. They're continuing in their agenda for the great Holocaust and the establishment of the Antichrist kingdom. This time they've infiltrated the highest positions in government in the United States and are now orchestrating this satanic plan. And they're programming the masses all over the place. This is what you're going to see. Start paying attention to the predictive programming that is going to occur. I promise you, you will see great pestilences in the future. When they do occur, you can know that the Bible is the truth, that Jesus told you these things will occur. Let these images settle in your mind because, my dear friends, this is our future, and the Bible predicted these things. This is why you need to trust on the Lord Jesus Christ. This world is going to go through exactly what the Bible predicted, and that is massive pestilences will be unleashed on the earth because the devil is here to steal, kill, and destroy. And let us never lose sight of that the enemy is behind death and destruction. But although this may be absolutely horrible news, and we now have the first confirmed case of the Ebola virus in the United States, we need to recognize that that is some pretty horrible bad news, but there is the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ, that he told us these things were going to occur. When the disciples were with him, they asked him, Master, what are going to be the signs of your coming? And he told them that there would be wars and rumors of wars and pestilences and famines and all the things that we're seeing that the Illuminati are planning for the near future, the Bible prophesied about. So we can have reassurance that these things are going to occur, and we don't need to fear, because Jesus Christ came to this earth. He defeated death in the grave, and he came out and he gave us life everlasting through the blood that he shed on the cross. And that is the gospel. That is the good news. When you're looking at the world today, it is only going to get worse and worse and worse. There is not going to be a massive turning point where everything starts to get better. In fact, we are plunging into absolute darkness. And the more and more we fall into the darkness, the more you're going to need the light of Christ. This is the Vigilant Christian saying, God bless each and every one of you. And as always, stay vigilant. So what I'm going to do now to end off the video, for those of you who follow the channel, I'm sure you've seen this in previous ones, but I'm just going to play the emergency broadcast here for you in closing. So God bless.
Congress shall now vote for approval of H.R. 8791.
Actually, I forgot to, I'll point this out. This is a little thing I forgot to actually point out. So if you don't think that the government is engaged in some secret plans of depopulation, unleashing certain viruses, why don't you listen to what's going on? Just pay attention.
Homeland Terrorism Preparedness Bill. Said bill requests emergency response funding up to and including, I'm sorry, this section is classified, dollars to prepare for a national level terrorist attack and or attack from classified. Funding for first responder personnel and vehicles would be doubled if said attack leads to more than 80% of national population being affected by classified.
Being affected by classified? Oh, does the U.S. know that there's an infection going on?
This funding shall commence in conjunction with the first attack on classified.
First attack?
Or the first large...
So they know when the first attack and the first outbreak is going to go, and they're preparing themselves, and they're getting funding, and they're getting everything in place.
Large-scale outbreak of classified.
Large-scale outbreak of classified?
Dependent upon which comes first.
Depending on which comes first.
Civilian and military units shall be trained in containment and combat of...
Military units are being trained in combat?
Classified, including irradiated...
Containing? Of what?
Classified, with possibility of classified airborne, classified flesh-eating,
classified airborne? Classified flesh-eating?
And or all of the above in such event as classified spewing, classified escape are released or otherwise become uncontrollable. Air Force units may also be directed to combat said classified due to their enormous size and otherworldly strength. Should event occur in urban areas...
Other size, worldly strength.
Jesus.
Classified.
That's classified. Far surpassing our darkest nightmares. Should casualties...
Far surpassing our darkest nightmares. Casualties surpassing...
exceed classified body disposal actions shall be held...
Oh, body disposal actions? Did I not just show you
and
the
associated resources shall be reallocated to classified underground, classified protected birthing...
Classified underground? The Illuminati
centers.
underground bases?
A new Bill of Rights shall be drafted and...
New Bill of Rights?
Approved by classified.
What is this government planning, people? Pay attention. MTV told you. Think.
Having now reviewed the bill, I ask you to please cast your vote.
After 3 years! What the...
So there you have it. This stuff is going on. So I'm just going to play the emergency broadcast here. This is the New World Order broadcast, and I'll be ending out here. So there you have it. Plans for preparations for flesh eating, preparation, worst nightmares, preparation, airborne. You just saw that. Start waking up. See, this is the brainwash people. Their television. They don't even see what's coming. God bless each and every one of you.
Hell! And then you gonna mess with that nasty ass trap?
Maisha, I never noticed she was a man. I never knew.
I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as.
One option, placing a tracking microchip under a service member's skin. Former Special Operations Officer.
And if you hear the shouting, it's a group of demonstrators who've come. 9/11 was an inside job.
It's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government.
Well, there have been extraordinary scenes in Berlin tonight as thousands of people gathered to hear Barack Obama deliver key foreign policy speech on his current European tour. The Democratic presidential hopeful laid out his vision for America's place in a new world order, in a new world order, in a new world order.
It's not a new idea. President Bush talked about it back in 1991.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
There's a need for a new world order.
I call upon all states to join ranks in order to found the new world order of the 21st century.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
And people talked then, in 1990, of a new world order. And the question for us is how we meet and master all these challenges to ensure that Britain enhances its competitiveness in the process and realizes what I believe is our destiny of success in this new world order. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, a new world is emerging. It is a new world order with significantly different and radically new challenges for the future.
And people better understand that they mean exactly what they're saying. It's a new world order they're trying to create, and they're trying to do so not only without approval or consent of the government in this country, but despite the popular will. This is a straightforward assault by the elitists in this country.
There is a global meltdown coming. It is a global depression, and one world currency and one world financial system is the end game. China said last week they want one global currency. France said yesterday or the day before that they want one world order, a new world order, at the end of this event.
Gordon Brown will today call on fellow world leaders to seize the opportunity created by the worldwide economic crisis to create a truly global society. The Prime Minister will use a high-profile speech in the City of London to say that Britain, the US and Europe should join together to create a new, stronger and more just world order.
This engineered collapse is there as a massive problem for which you offer the solution, and the solutions are the infrastructure we've been predicting all this time, including the World Central Bank.
The goal of this manipulation, and has been for a very long time, is to get the world population to see as a good idea, or the only option in given circumstances that are manipulated into place, the creation of a one world government, a world central bank which would administer all financial transactions on the planet, a world currency, and a microchipped population linked to a global computer.
The wealthy elite who have the money and the power know that if they can create a one world global social system, that they can control the central authority. In other words, world control, world domination, one of the oldest desires in the history of the world.
There's a very, very clear-cut and easily identifiable system in place that puts all of these elements, from media control to government control to energy control, together into one apparatus working together effectively towards its final goal, which is, global control.
Because of the compartmentalized pyramids that they've constructed within all these institutions of government and finance and corporations, the vast majority of people who are daily making contributions to push the world in this towards this Orwellian global state have no idea that they're doing that because they don't know how their contributions fit in with everyone else's. Only the few at the top do.
Most people don't have a clue that unelected private bankers actually control the governments of the world.
There is this like cozy little myth that is perpetuated between politicians and the media. The media report the world as if presidents and prime ministers are the final arbiters and decision makers in the world, which means that the people above the level of presidents and prime ministers that really make the decisions, they're never looked at or exposed by the mainstream media because they're not accepted to exist.
The central bankers of the world are working together to create a one-world government. A global police state as sinister as anything George Orwell ever wrote about, where every person on the planet Earth will have an RFID chip implanted.
It is the first implantable microchip for humans that has multiple security, financial, and healthcare applications.
More than 100 law enforcement officials in Mexico are having microchips implanted in their arms. The chips allow a person to be scanned, sort of like a cereal box at the supermarket.
Just like the microchips implanted in the necks of dogs and cats, allowing lost pets to be identified, this glass capsule can do the same for humans.
A chip in everybody would be the universal monetary system par excellence, because there'd be no escape from it, and you'd be totally under the control of those who issue the electronic impulses in that chip.
The problem throughout human society is that the good men and women do nothing. They don't want power. They don't want control. They want to lead a leisurely life. They want to spend time with their family. They want to lead simple lives. But we are forced throughout society and throughout history and throughout human time to stand up against bullies. And many times we stand up before it's too late. And we reverse the course of tyranny. But more often than not, we don't stand up in time, and horrible things have to happen first, so decadent societies learn why liberty and freedom is so precious.
If you think you don't like the situation now, then think what you're going to face a little way down the road, and more than anything, think of what your children are going to have to face. Because you think we live in a controlled society now, this is nothing compared with what they are going to have to live in. So in terms of parents who are listening to this information, I would say this. Go and look your children in the eyes and tell them that you can't be bothered, or you're too frightened to do anything about it. You're too frightened to get involved, too frightened to get involved in being another conduit for getting this information further and further expanded into the public mind, that you're too frightened to get together with others to stop cooperating with this system and to not be intimidated into coming into line, which is a bit like coming into line in a concentration camp and thinking it will be okay as long as you stay in line and you do as you're told, you'll be fine. And then you realize at the end of it, well, actually, it ain't fine. And if you'd have all rebelled earlier, then you wouldn't be in the situation you're facing now. The point of mathematics alone ought to let us see where the real power is here. There are billions of people, 6 billion, nearly getting on for 7 billion on this planet, who are being manipulated. There are, in full knowledge of what they're doing, a relative handful of those who are doing the manipulating to the end that we're talking about.
They think they've beaten us. They think that they're going to have their way with us. And I'm here to tell them they're not going to have their way with us. We are going to defeat them.
You guys aren't going to be able to get away with your New World Order, sir. Talk about Bill. You know what New World Order is.
You will never get a New World Order. Never. National sovereignty will prevail. The New World Order is going down, sir. You can laugh. Wake up, people. Wake up. Research the New World Order. This is important. Look it up. Investigate it.
Your New World Order will fall. Humanity will defeat you.